Welcome to the IMSA Grid Finder Time Attack Challenge. My name is Suero Almeida, racing driver and coach, and here's a quick tutorial for the second challenge at Nürburgring with the LMP2. Alright, turn 1, downhill braking. It's very important to understand that the car is not going to stop as efficiently as it will in other corners. So my braking reference is right before the 100 disappears from our view. Right here you can see as soon as the 100 goes outside of our view, then I'm reaching more or less peak pressure in the braking. Straight to 100%, there is some grip there at the top speed, enough for you to brake to 100%, but after that you have to immediately start releasing very slowly on a straight line as the downforce decreases and as you downshift. As you can see, I'm decreasing on a straight line from 100% all the way to around 80, 70, and then I really trail brake more quickly as I turn in. So you can see the two slopes under braking here. First gear, getting the car to rotate as much as possible, almost aiming to hit this bollard on the inside. And then as soon as you drop on this little jump here, you start accelerating and let the car track out all the way to the white line. Just make sure that the center of the car does not go past the white line right here, because that's an off track. And then after that, you bring the car as much as you can to the right before changing direction. You will not have enough time to go all the way to the right. And then after this, you turn into this corner. Very, very light braking because the car is already on the speed that it can take. You just need a tiny bit of braking to get that extra rotation, and then you get back on power progressively and carefully because this corner does not have a lot of grip because it's off camber. So the car is falling away from the corner and you need to be more careful not to get too much traction control. And as you can see, even being very careful here, I am doing some tiny corrections and getting the car all the way to the outside here. Then right away, immediately, there's not a lot of reference. I like using a little bit before the green is over here. I'm already starting to brake, and then downshifting to first gear as soon as you realize you need some extra rotation. Just be careful not to go to first too early because the engine braking in this car is pretty strong. So as soon as I realize I need some extra rotation, I go to first gear and I keep trail braking, trying to bring the car as much as possible to a very late apex on this tiny left-hander, because then I have a much better line for the exit of this right-hander, and the car is going to be very loose. So as you turn right here, you see how I'm fighting with the throttle to keep the car on track. And here, the off track is when the center of the car goes past this little drain here. So as you can see, I'm pretty much on the limit, but not getting any off track, and also coming back here before the drain restarts after this white line. Then after this, we will use as much of the track as we can. Not a lot of braking on this one. There's a lot of grip in this downhill. So you see a very quick spike, but then right away, immediately downshifting and using the trail braking to keep the car rotating. A little bit of acceleration in between, and then brake again right away. Lots of engine braking to first gear, tiny micro correction there with the steering, and then making sure that you use all of the track on exit, a little bit of oversteer right there. Then for the next corner, I really like braking into the corner diagonally. As you can see, pretty much taking the first apex as early as possible and then going wide more or less to the middle of the track and then back so you can take the second apex pretty late and let the car drift all the way to the outside on power. And then this is going to be easy, not a corner for this car, just go flat, don't even think about it. And then for the next corner, we're going to use as much of the track as possible. On the outside here, as you can see, I'm pretty much with the wheel on top of the white line, just a little bit to the left to guarantee that I don't get an off track, because the off track here is the center of the car being on the green area of the track. Downshift pretty quickly to third gear, second gear, use the engine braking, really try to use all of this and get back on power aggressively. Make sure you don't go straight in between these corners though. You have to really bring the car as much as possible to the left so that you can prepare this one tiny trail braking, just to keep the car pointing to prepare the best exit you can, because there's a long straight after that. And of course, use all the track on the exit. Then after that, we are going to one of the most tricky corners of this circuit. We're going to brake at the 100. Make sure you really commit to the braking. You need to slow down this car as much as possible. That means going to 100%, and as you can see, decreasing the brakes as the speeds go down because of the loss of downforce. First gear, and then very patient, slow turn in. Make sure you get as close as possible to this curve. But what really matters in this one is bringing the car a lot to the left, as much to the left as possible, so that you can change direction quickly and cut this corner so you don't lose too much time. You have to bring the car as much as you can to the left here, because if you go too much to the right, you have a terrible line for the second apex and you lose way too much time. We're talking half a second. So make sure you bring the car as much as you can to the left here and change direction pretty quickly so that you can cut this here. It's going to be very bumpy. It's always going to be bumpy. There's nothing we can do about it. You just need to have very light hands on top of the bumps and have some control on the throttle so you don't lose the car or get too much traction control. Then we go all the way to the outside and we prepare for our last corner, where we're going to do medium braking and then lots of trail braking lightly so that you can get back on power, thinking of the best exit you can take and letting the car run all the way to the outside. Just make sure you don't touch the gravel, because that will give you an off track and will slow down your exit speed.